Hi, it's Sonia and welcome back to my art YouTube channel. I'm just going to make a shortish, hopefully, video this week. Just quick reflections on why, well, from my point of view, why I think a daily art practice is a good thing to aim for. And yeah, because I started back in the start of the school term, so like August, September, I set myself the challenge of doing I called it a term time daily art project, in that I wanted to get back into continuous daily art making. And I thought maybe I would, I think I've talked about it before, but the idea was to, so this was back in September, to I guess maybe, I don't know, challenge myself, see if I was going to do, I don't know, a week of, I started off with, I think, quite defined weekly terms for myself and limitations, like, you know, 1 week abstract, 1 week I was like do figurative to try and I guess make progress. But then I think if I look back on that time now, in reflection, I found that I got into a good daily habit. I think it's about, in some sense, I feel it's like almost just I made it a bit of a habit for myself. And then I was like, well, how do I could see where I could go wrong with it was having too high expectations or putting too much pressure on it. And so therefore I decided to be free and easy with it. I just let myself do what I wanted to do on the day. And in this way, I think I've made it work for me. And I think it's a good time to talk about it now, because it's been a week's holiday for the kids. It's Thanksgiving week, or one of the kids. And so I had this idea of maybe giving myself a week off. Like I would just do it daily in term time. And then the idea being take a break in the holidays. But actually, I feel like I've made it such an easy, as you can see. I'm flicking through this. There is a sketchbook tool on this. So I just want to make this a video where you can draw along to it. I want it to basically, hopefully, inspire, be the sort of video where you're like, oh, I just want to get into my sketchbook and get drawing. So draw with me, do a bit whatever you're working on in your sketchbook, or if you've got some loose paper. So this was the other project I had, which I've shown last week. There's a sketchbook tool on this. I will come to some new stuff. So yeah, my findings were, if I look back, my findings were that actually I wanted to continue, and I did continue. But the thing, here's the reason why I'm doing this video, because what happened was then, I mean, there's some stuff happened that I think preoccupied me, but I still managed, because of which I will come to, an easy way of fitting in some daily art. I still in some ways made art every day. But what really floored me was, it wasn't the fact that the kids were on holiday or some other stuff. It was actually that I got ill. So basically, yeah. And that's why I tried to make a video yesterday, and I'm going to delete it because I was sort of coughing and coughing through it, and I can't be bothered to edit out all my hoarseness. So I was like, let's just give myself another day and make maybe a hopefully briefer, quicker video. But I want to do this now because otherwise I will sort of forget, and I'm about to start, you know, hopefully a new term and carry on with it. But it's just a good point. And also it's before, I feel like this is a good time to do this video because it is kind of, hopefully to be of use to others, because it is before, well, it's been Thanksgiving here, and then it's the holidays, and then January, I assume a lot of people do the whole, you know, New Year's resolutions, a new page and all that. And I guess I feel like there's a sense from what I see in terms of blogs and even other videos that get shown me, there is interest. There's obviously, for whatever reason, and please share your reasons why it might be something you sort of either aspire to, or you're doing, or you like the idea of. But the whole like people finding their own sort of, be it a daily sketchbook habit, daily drawing, daily painting. There's something about it that obviously appeals to artists and creatives. And I also see, like, you know, there's a lot of, I really love the idea that for a lot of people it could even be like life-changing. I totally believe that. I just also want to say, for those who maybe a little bit cynical or skeptical, or even, I don't know, have tried this stuff, like, a lot of the time it may not be have momentous results, but it may have real positives and something that is just good to know that you can do, and you can do with some ease. It's not going to become like this big thing, or it's not going to make you feel bad if you end up skipping a day, or not something that actually becomes, I don't want to, I think the worst thing is if you start one of these sort of projects and then it becomes a chore, because there's enough, okay, here's the big thing for me, there is enough stuff in life, like a bit cleaning, just day-to-day stuff that we all which is great, but that are sort of, you could call them, I think it's fair to call them chores, and who I don't need with especially for a personal art project. I guess if it's work related, and I have had some sort of more, if I'm preparing for a workshop, that's a different thing. But for a personal daily art project, I think what I have found through, I think I may have had a bit slightly grand expectations with this, like the whole idea, I'll do a week of learning to draw hands and I'll challenge myself. But what I found is actually, I want to make art every day, but I want it to be not easy, but, well, some days easy, yeah, okay. This goes to the idea of having a flexible, for me, the key with, if you set yourself up, especially if you're sort of like wanting to do it for, say, more than a month or more than even 100 days, is you need something, I personally, sorry, I'm going to be a bit croaky, I believe that is flexible and that's going to work with you and your circumstances. And again, I don't know I can only sort of share how I've found things. Everyone's personal circumstances are so, that's the thing. I find it hard sometimes with all the advice and stuff, because I feel you have to give stuff a go, find out what works for you in your situation. So what I'm showing now, okay, so as I say, I think about, it was only about 3 or 4, I have written blogs on this, and I'm sure there's some other videos. But I kind of found, I guess, a month or so into it, I ended up doing sort of abstracts, and I was enjoying, just maybe because I had some stuff going on. I just enjoyed making abstract art, and as those sketchbooks, which they have complete tools of, so I don't want to go through them anymore. I did a lot of work in those. Those were a really nice place that I could easily sort of, if you get up early in the morning, for some of us, we might, get up for whatever reasons, not to be able to sleep, you get up really early. It was an easy way of mark making, being creative. It didn't matter that I had artificial lights on. I just played around, and I felt like it. And it also some days I'd be super prolific, because just starting off with these sort of fun abstracts that I just let myself go down whichever path I wanted to, allowed me then to go on later in the day to be a bit more concentrated and focused. So I would also say the great thing about this sort of daily art practice that I can honestly say I kept to during the term time was that it also made me, I don't know if it was I was thinking maybe about stuff as I was making the art, but it also made me reflect on how could I get more focused art making into my day. And I think I sort of could tell that I needed, they say, you can't do, I don't think very few times you can do everything. In general, people really struggle to fit, to have everything. Was it they say, but when you're a woman as well, women, children, you can't. I think I found that if I wanted to make art, I make that my priority. Some other, I had to be realistic, and I had to let some other things go. So I, quit some other stuff. For example, let's give some tangible examples of this. I recently decided I wasn't doing Patreon. Like, I'd like that idea. I thought maybe it could be, you know, something that I could do more, add more sort of teaching and more personal the side of me too. But actually, it transpired, it added just, I think I got a bit, you know, being conscientious, like, oh, I've got to do another video. Am I repeating myself? Am I saying the same things? Is this, and then the focus sort of, I just could tell, I was worried it was gonna, the whole point of my channel is it's about art. And for me, if I'm not engaged in learning myself and being curious, I have nothing really to pass on. So I wanted to focus. I was like, I think the last thing you want to do is sort of be overwhelmed. So what can you cut down to allow more time for your daily practice? And the other key, my other sort of takeaway from myself, and if it's, I don't know, helpful for anyone else, is that I found, like, when you think about other good, positive daily habits, like, you know, things that we just do without thinking, cleaning our teeth, for example, that's like it should be like 2 minutes every morning, every night. You've got your, you know, flossing routine, your dental routine, and you sort of get into that. And I think with a nice art routine, it doesn't have to be. That was why I went to, so these are more like obviously gouache paintings I did. But at the same time, some of these I would sort of come back and forwards to. I'd add more, like one day I'd do the background. So it didn't have to be half an hour. Like, I could end up just doing 5 to 10 minutes, popping out, popping in, as well as doing, I would enjoy, if I could have, if I've got hours in here, I'm happy to stay put and paint and draw for, you know, a good few hours. I can get hyper-focused like the best of them. So for example, I've only just recently added this little, I don't know, I just came up with an imaginary, I felt obviously it needed something, and I just sat on this for ages, and then I added it in. But that took me a few minutes. But so with your own daily practice, you get to create your rules. Like, for some people that's not going to work. Some people might really enjoy, and I do acknowledge this, like some people really enjoy being told exactly what to do, how to do it, and there could be too much freedom in how I pursue a daily art habit, and they could be like, this lady's all over the place, I like a squirrel, and that would be a fair comment. And so I do know, and I appreciate, because I've seen videos on YouTube, and I've seen other artists who are really great at participating in challenges, and I've done this in my time too, and it's been very helpful. But you know, sometimes if you are a person who likes guidance, likes sort of study, I think when I was breaking away, like after years of sort of more academics and traditional sort of studying, I think it was helpful to have that sort of, do the 100-day project or do a month of, gouache. It kept me focused. But now, for other people, it might be too limiting. It might be too, it might be off-putting to have that every day. You've got this, you should do this task. You might want just the freedom of going between sketchbooks, or maybe you just have one genre that you love. You'd get to, my way of doing it now is just to do whatever I fancy for the day. I can start off with, this is my ongoing loose, I call it like a loose sketchbook, or turning sort of an anything goes sketchbook. And interestingly, so I had this real period of abstract art. I was just doing quite a lot of abstract work in between sort of self-portraits and figurative studies. I like to try and keep up sort of the freedom of expression, going a bit, play, absolute play. I feel I get through abstraction, and then versus the times practicing my drawing skills in terms of, I will, try and draw. I really like to copy sort of masters. I'm trying to get off drawing all the time off the screen, though I do love to draw off my phone because it's small, so I can't get too bogged down in detail. But, drawing family as well. And then I just wanted to do a bit of both, and that works for me. So even though some of these paintings or drawings are looser than other, but I really have recently got back into gouache. I don't know why, I'm just loving So that's an actual study from a vase of flowers. And then I had some paint left over. So I have prepared this, and I don't know what I will put there. Is it in here? I wanted to show this. Yeah, this one I came back to, and then I was into this is a copy of a master's, but loose and in acrylic gouache. I just wanted the freedom to try that out. Okay. So there's only a couple more. Yeah, so then, as you can see, this is to catch up with this project. I have been working all over the shop. I can't even show it all because I think the other really lovely thing, the positive, like I'm trying to keep this like a happy, cheery, I don't know if this time of year, but I really want happy and cheery. The positive with this is it really did focus me on the making of the art, and in some ways the sharing has sort of taken a bit of a back seat, you know. As I've said before, I'm not intending at the moment to do Instagram or do sort of like, you know, I'm keeping it very focused on art, and then at the moment what works for me I think is a bit of Substack and here. And yeah, I probably will want to make some more prints maybe, but we'll see. I think it's fair to say, I have been making a lot of work. It is very different, but I'm quite excited. Like, I've really enjoyed it, and I felt I've put, you know, bits of myself into it. So yeah, this is recent, this is gouache. This here is how just to share another idea, which is great for daily projects where you don't want to start with a blank page, is when I end a session and I've got paint left over, I will try and use it up. And so this is like a bit of a landscape, but I'm going to go and find a photo or go back to it, like ideally look at a photo quickly and then try and draw loosely from memory, and I will add more to this, like in a mixed media way, but that's going to be quite fun and exciting. So that's that. Then I did mark some pages. I have been a little bit trying to be organised so I can show. This is an altered sketchbook, which I'm loving at the moment. It's an old book that I'm altering, and I kept it for like loose drawing, and I don't know why, but I'm getting some spreads that I just feel I wouldn't have necessarily done in a plain, especially a good quality sketchbook. I hope I've got another project I've just started, but I am getting to a point where I think I am hopefully ready to use, you know, like this is a good quality sketchbook in some ways, to use plain sketchbooks and to be loose and more expressive in them. I definitely have a little bit of a stockpile, so I should not always be so hesitant, but I know I'm not the only one alone on this. Yeah. And the other fun idea with these sort of altered sketchbooks is then if you've got these, sometimes I'll end up doing I really love this quick sketch. It doesn't really look like me, it's a quick self-portrait, but I really like the lines. There's something, you know how I think I've always said this, so it's going to be super boring, but I'll say it again. A lot of the time, these big artists, famous artists, I've always been a bit more, when I've gone to exhibitions, and I used to go back to exhibitions in the day, like in London, I'd always be sometimes drawn by their sketchbooks or their sketchy stuff or the pencil sketches rather than the big finished paintings. And there's something with, I guess, the economy of line, the spontaneity, like, I don't know why. But anyway, so it's a way of, and I feel like I'm probably more like that on cheap bits of paper, but instead of just having them loitering around, that's probably, can paper loiter? I don't know. But lying around, I get to sort of file them. And I really like this book. This is turning, I should be going to the pages with the post-it notes to keep this brief. So yeah, and even when I've cut out with altered books because they're getting too chunky, the bits I've cut out, I'm keeping the paper for sort of like collage and for really quick sketches, like how you know, like a 1 minute, 2 minute. So for anybody would really pushed for time, and I know a lot of people are, you've got this vehicle to get it in, and you know, like your 2 minute brushing your teeth, like it's a way of getting in a bit of daily art. If you have sort of rough, I don't know, something about having not great paper, I don't know, or cheaper materials. Here I found some, and it's also a way of experimenting. This is so bad. This, I don't love, I've refound some old, graphite powder. It is messy and I need to fix it. But there's a lot of people, I think I got inspired because I saw some people doing really lovely charcoal work. here, another demonstration of, I really like this sketch. I did not want to add more to it, so I stuck it in. Mucking around with drawing on the top of going on top. You could go endlessly with oil pastels and then covering it up with some clear gesso and going again. Right, where's my next page? To practice. So this is, I guess, in terms of practicing, but also being loose and quick. So some of the top tip, I'm sorry if I've said this before, but for anyone new, my top tip is maybe prepare colour backgrounds, prepare pages ahead. I know a lot of artists say this as well, but it really, I'm sure I saw it, and then a lot of time, it's like you see people doing it, like, no, we just forget to do it. It's almost like you have to habits. Oh, for me, it's like habits, getting into good habits, and like willpower as well. I've got terrible willpower in terms of like snacks in the house. So I've learned the hard way. Like I can't have, a big bar of chocolate and I'll just have a little bit every day. If I know this will relate to art. But if I know that, just knowing, I guess it's like sort of learning about yourself, isn't it? But knowing myself, to have the willpower to make art every day, I had to make it initially, to get into the habit, easy, low entry, just a quick sketch. And then it's now, I would say, after quite a few sort of years of trial and error, I think I'm in a place where I can, in a sense, like relax a bit. So I also acknowledge the other thing that I think is really big about this. Okay, if I look back, and I was going to try and bring an old sketchbook from when I first started out, wanting to get back into drawing. And I think even then, like I had my kids, and when they were very little and babies, I used to think, if I'm going to do daily drawing, I should draw them every day and from life. I believed I had quite very traditional views on how you should become a better artist. And I was like, I should be doing observational life drawings for the kids, even quick sketches. But then I did sometimes do that, but it got, I don't know, it obviously got boring. They were quite frustrating because little, as you know, babies and kids, even when they were asleep, move. I was just using a pen. It didn't feel relaxing at times. And I was tired, you're tired. You haven't got long, and I think maybe I just didn't know back then of other ways, like it's all right to just make some marks and go loose, or do a abstract collage. And I feel like then the creativity sort of feeds the creativity. Because if you get if I get too stuck going down a particular track and it starts to feel forced, that's when I'm like having the willpower to do the same thing every day. I think it can be quite hard. So in terms of willpower as well, just as I try really hard not to buy too many, like the stuff I shouldn't eat, I do, but like, I try not to have it too at hand. I want to have like art. So now it's really lovely having art materials out, and I want to sort of have art materials everywhere to remind me, not hidden away. So I can, even in the kitchen, I've got a side area, and it's for the kids as well. It's got paper, it's got pens, just even I even thought I've removed it. I did have some on the coffee table in the sitting room as well, but maybe don't need it quite everywhere. But that's another sort of tip, just being, I've started to stick in pieces that I like. I mean, this is on top of my son's old drawing. This is not new, with oil pastel, but so I don't think I wouldn't ever make that necessarily into a print, but I like this composition, I like the colours. If I ever get stuck for something to draw, I'm trying also now, because I'm off Instagram and off trying not to just scrolling too much was not helping, I think, my motivation and inspiration. I'm trying to be more, look at a proper article, look at an actual artist's website and their, so you can properly see what they're up to. And also my own sketchbooks, quite frankly, look at your own and be inspired by your own work. Here, this one I wanted to show because this is very recent, and I'm really, as I say, gouache is coming back for me. I'm just really enjoying the opacity And then playing around, this is, you know, in some ways it's not loose. Where is it? I think it is loose for me, but yeah, this page I really like. Okay, so I think, I'm just trying to think if there's any other quick tips I wanted to share for anybody who is considering, well, who might be struggling with the daily art. Oh, the one of the, I don't know. So I know I have talked about this in other videos as well, but I really believe, like, if you stop and, okay, maybe some people don't, maybe some people are really consistent and have been going for years and, like, you know, through all kinds of adverse events and everything, good on them. That is amazing and it's very inspiring. But I can reassuringly say that I have, as many times as I've completed some projects, a lot of the time I have quit and failed certain self-started projects. And yeah, so even with this, I'm still going to call what I'm doing daily art. And I like the term time sort of concept. It seems to be working for me. So the big thing is it working for you, what you're doing? And if something happens, like I do, I think it's, look, this is just art. It's that whole, sometimes I made videos on this. I think it's both good to take your art seriously and to not take it seriously. Like, just have a good, I'd like to have a good laugh at myself at times because it is just art. And, you know, if you're ill, if you've got family, big family things going on, you know, yeah, I don't, if you stop, the worst thing I think that I used to be a bit guilty of myself, especially when I had like these high expectations and I just put, I don't know, maybe I tried to treat it maybe as not an exam, but I don't think I was going to see myself as passing this. But so this is another master study. What is really good is, like, if you miss a few days or a day or a week, it's fine. You know that you can start again. It's like, I think it's not great for people, isn't it? Like, you know, anything, even when you're, oh, I don't know, with running or trying to get into an exercise routine or, again, trying to eat healthy, like, you slip. But the worst thing is to be too harsh on yourself. And I'm talking about myself here, is to then be like, oh, it's, you know, I'm not going to do it now because I've stuffed it up. Or for any sort of ex-perfectionists out there or people who are super conscientious. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to share with that book. Right, last thing, I promise, and that's going to be it for this week. So I finished those sketchbooks. Of course, I have had to start a new abstract sketchbook and talking about making it fun and appealing and easy to get to. This was have I shown this before? This was an old graph paper notebook that I've held on to it. I don't know whose it was or how I got it. And I was like, oh, I knew I wanted to do something in it. But then I'm like, come on, just use it. I've finished those other two sketchbooks. Let's just play about how will this affect my sort of abstract art making? And it's been interesting. I feel like because of these little squares, so if you ever see one of these on sale, you know, in your stationery shops or whatever, it might be worth, or if you've got one hidden away, all the kids have some. Sometimes I always get the kids leftovers, like they don't fill up their maths books, and I keep them, quite frankly, for myself. If they, I'd say, do you want to keep using them for whatever? And they're like, no, it can be recycled, but it's still got blank paper in it. So it's really fun to play about with. And it feels such low pressure, but at the same time, it's interesting. Like, I was worried, I'm not worried because it's just abstract art, but I was a bit aware that maybe was my abstract, it became a bit samey, was I getting stuck, was I just, you could argue perhaps this is all repetitive, but this has felt for me a bit different, and it's nice and meditative. I get to use, it's great for sort of early mornings, like if I just want to use markers and I don't want to get, I do use paint, but you could just muck around. I've got coming up, I'll show you, so you can go really, I don't know why, it's sort of calling out to go a little bit detailed and geometric, or, you know, go completely on top. You can layer, you can collage. But here, this one is for when I want to come back and just do, I just want to build this spread up with these, which is quite, it is a little bit time consuming, this. And the other area I feel it's also important to mention is, yes, I used to feel a bit, I don't know why, guilty over the time I spent on art, but I look upon it now, sometimes I spend 5-10 minutes, some days I spend a lot of time, and I don't even want to add it up, but I will whenever I can spend time. And I think it's a good, I think actually what's good about it is, but here's the trade-off. Because I had a family member actually who was commenting on, I don't know, saying we'll be a bit mean, not buying, will get big. I said I was just getting one subscription at a time to some, be Netflix. We might do a month or so, and then if there's nothing we want to watch, we don't have it. And he's like, oh, but you could do. We could do more, but I don't. I'm happy if people want to relax and some really great series. I'm all for whatever. Whatever relaxes you. But from my point of view, I couldn't be watching, especially if they're really good series, I couldn't be watching TV and making art as I do. For me, it works better. So to be honest with you, I'm not up to date with the in-series. I haven't watched, I try occasionally, with the family, or if there's something really culturally everyone's watching, it's quite nice to... You can sort of watch it, I guess, and draw. But some things I don't think, because what you want to watch, you want to see the visuals, it's hard to do. So I have foregone that. But the compromise is I listen to a lot of, I could be by myself in silence, but I listen to a lot of podcasts on various things and music. So I am, there's obviously, you trade off what the time you spend on your daily art. Sometimes some other things have to go, but it's are they, what matters more to you at this point, essentially. So and I will leave you to make those. Obviously you'll have let me know what your thoughts are on this and all the daily art projects that are going on. And wherever you are, I really do hope you are enjoying your art. I hope that maybe having a quick flick through mine I hope you're making art, and I really, the whole point of this is I want people to go away and make some art however, and they want to do it. And, because maybe mine will be like, oh gosh, I can do a lot better than her, or I could do similar, or whatever. Or I want to go back to traditional art because, and she's making me inspired to be really focused and, to the point. Okay, I'm going to say bye and thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.